Continuing with our reading of Marcovaldo by Italo Calvino. Spring 13. Where the river is more blue? It was a time when the simplest foods contained threats, traps, and frauds. Not a day went by without some newspaper telling of ghastly discoveries in the housewife's shopping. Cheese was made of plastic, butter from tallow candles. In fruit and vegetables, the arsenic of insecticides was concentrated in percentages higher than the vitamin content. To fatten chickens, they stuffed them with synthetic pills that could transform the man who ate a drumstick into a chicken himself. Fresh fish had been caught the previous year in Iceland, and they put makeup on the eyes to make it seem yesterday's catch. Mice had been found in several milk bottles. Whether dead or alive was not made clear. From the tins of oil, it was no longer the golden juice of the olive that flowed, but the fat of old mules, cleverly distilled. At work or in the cafe, Marcovaldo heard them discussing these things, and every time he felt something like a mule's kick in his stomach, or a mouse running down his esophagus. At home, when his wife, Domitilla, came back from the market, the sight of her shopping bag, which once had given him such joy with its celery and eggplant, the rough, absorbent paper of the packages from the grocer or the delicatessen, now filled him with fear, as if hostile presences had infiltrated the walls of his house. "I must bend all my efforts," he vowed to himself, "towards providing my family with food that hasn't passed through the treacherous hands of speculators." In the morning, going to work, he sometimes encountered men with fishing poles and rubber boots heading for the river. "That's the way," Marcovaldo said to himself. But the river there in the city, which collected garbage and waste and the emptying of sewers, filled him with deep repugnance. "I have to look for a place," he said to himself, "where the water is really water and the fish are really fish. There I'll drop my line." The days were growing longer. With his motorbike after work, Marcovaldo set to exploring the river along its course before the city, and the little streams, its tributaries. He was especially interested in the stretches where the water flowed farthest from the paved road. He proceeded along paths, among the clumps of willows, riding his motorbike as far as he could go, then, after leaving it in a bush, on foot until he reached the stream. Once he got lost. He roamed among steep, overgrown slopes and could find no trail, nor did he know in which direction the river lay. Then, all of a sudden, pushing some branches aside, he saw the silent water a few feet below him. It was a widening of the river, practically a calm little pool, of such a blue that it seemed a mountain lake. His emotion didn't prevent him from peering down among the ripples of the stream, and there his stubbornness was rewarded. A flicker, the unmistakable flash of a fin at the surface, and then another still. Such happiness! He could hardly believe his eyes. This was the place where the fish of the whole river assembled, the fisherman's paradise, perhaps still unknown to everyone but him. On his way home, it was already growing dark. He stopped and cut signs on the bark of the elms, and made piles of stones at certain spots to be able to find the way again. Now, he had only to equip himself. Actually, he had already thought about it. Among the neighbors and the personnel of his firm, he had already identified about 10 dedicated fishermen, with hints and allusions promising each to inform him, the moment he was really sure, of a place full of tench that only he knew about. He managed to borrow a bit from one, a bit from another, the most complete fisherman's outfit ever seen. Now he lacked nothing: pole, line, hooks, bait, net, boots, creel. One fine morning, in a couple of hours from 6 to 8, before going to work at the river with the tench, could he fail to catch some? And in fact, he had only to drop his line and he caught them. The tench bit, without any suspicion. Since it was so easy with hook and line, he tried with the net. The tench were so good-natured that they rushed headlong into the net, too. When it was time to leave, his creel was already full. He looked for a path moving up the river. "Hey, you!" At a curve in the shore among the poplars, there was a character wearing a guard's cap and giving him an ugly stare. "Me? What is it?" Marcovaldo asked, sensing an unknown threat to his tench. "Where did you catch those fish there?" the guard asked. Why?" And Marcovaldo's heart was already in his mouth. "If you caught them down below, throw them back right now. Didn't you see the factory up there?" And the man pointed out a long, low building that now, having come around the bend of the river, Marcovaldo could discern beyond the willows, throwing smoke into the air and, into the water, a dense cloud of an incredible color somewhere between turquoise and violet. "You must at least have seen the color of the water." A paint factory! The river's poisoned because of that blue, and the fish are poisoned as well. Throw them back right now or I'll confiscate them. Marcovaldo would have liked to fling them far away as fast as possible, get rid of them, as if the mere smell were enough to poison him. But in front of the guard, he didn't want to humble himself. What if I caught them farther up? Then that's another story. I'll confiscate them and fine you too. Above the factory there's a fishing preserve. Can't you see the sign? Actually, Marcovaldo hastened to say, I carry a fishing pole just for looks, to fool my friends. I really caught the fish at the village shop nearby. Then everything's all right. You only have to pay the tax to take them into the city. We're beyond the city limits here. Marcovaldo had already opened the creel and was emptying it into the river. Some of the tench must have been still alive because they darted off with great joy.